The rain had stopped by the time the train broke down. It wasn't a violent halt, more of a soft surrender, the way old machines give up when they're tired of pretending to work. The conductor said there was an issue with the tracks up ahead, maybe a small landslide. We'd be delayed for a few hours. I didn't mind. I wasn't in a hurry. The station we stopped at was unmarked. No sign, no announcement, just a narrow platform surrounded by mist, and beyond that, the suggestion of a small town swallowed in trees. I was the only one who got off. There were no guards, no vendors, no sound at all except the quiet humming of the stalled train and the soft shuffle of my shoes on wet concrete. The road leading into town was crooked, the asphalt cracked, lined with tall black trees that leaned over as if listening. I followed it not out of curiosity, but because it felt like I was meant to. The buildings were old, wooden, some with shutters hanging loose. The town was gray in a way that didn't come from weather, but from something deeper, like the color had bled out long ago. There were no people, not a single one. I checked my phone, no signal. Tried to remember the name of the stop. There hadn't been one. I told myself I'd explore for 20 minutes, maybe take a photo or two and return to the train. But I didn't take any photos. Something about the place didn't want to be captured. I found the cemetery at the edge of town. It sat behind a rusted iron gate, partially open. The gate creaked as I touched it, not loud, just enough to feel noticed. The grass was damp, the path between the graves was narrow and winding. Some headstones were so weathered that the names were almost gone. Others looked fresh, too fresh, like someone still visited, though I hadn't seen a single soul. Then I saw it. I stopped breathing. It was just a headstone like the others, polished, clean, but the name, my name, was carved into it. Full name, middle initial, the exact way I sign it, and below the date of death. Tomorrow. I must have stood there for 5, maybe 10 minutes. The wind didn't blow, the trees didn't move, the whole world held its breath with me. I told myself there had to be an explanation, a coincidence, a sick joke, but inside I knew. Something about that place had always known I was coming. I stepped back. The path behind me looked unfamiliar now. The mist had thickened, and the gate was no longer visible. I turned in a slow circle, expecting someone, anything, to appear. But there was nothing. Just that headstone. Just my name. I whispered it aloud. It sounded strange, like I was calling to someone who wasn't me. I walked back toward town. The buildings looked different now, their windows darker, their doors slightly open. I hurried my pace. I no longer wanted to be seen. The train was still there when I returned, but it was dark inside, no lights, no voices, no movement. I stepped onto the platform, and then I noticed. The train wasn't just empty, it was dusted with fine gray ash, like it had been sitting for years. I didn't understand. My mind tried to piece it together, tried to scream logic into the silence, but the silence didn't care. I sat down on the same bench I'd left an hour ago. I waited. Eventually, I stood again and walked back through the town, this time moving faster. I didn't look into the windows. I didn't try to explain anything to myself. I went straight back to the cemetery. The headstone was still there, but now the date had changed. Today. I ran. The trees didn't move, the wind didn't blow, but something followed, not footsteps, just the sense of being remembered. I ran through empty streets, past homes that had never been lived in, past shops with dust in the windows, past my reflection in the glass, though I swear I didn't move when it did. I found the road again, but there was no train, no station, just silence. I kept walking. I don't know for how long. The town never really ended. It just became more trees. And eventually I found a sign, a small wooden marker nailed to a crooked pole. No name, just a symbol, and fine. Since then, I've tried to find it on a map. Nothing. I've searched records. I've asked in forums. I've traced old rail lines. Nothing. But I know what I saw. I know what saw me. And when I close my eyes now, I don't see dreams. I see graves. I see my name. I think I never really left. I think that town took something and left something behind in me. Some stories don't end. They just wait. If this one found you, the next will too. Subscribe to Whisper Tales and listen carefully next time.